couple of days ago, I made a video on Andrew Luck, where we got this extremely sketchy yet hopeful text message exchange from Andrew Luck's wife and her best friend, and somehow some guy got a hold of it and leaked it out, and ever since then he deleted it, and it was extremely sketchy. I said it in the video, like, the likelihood of this happening is very slim to none of this text message being legitimate. However, the fact that we made a video on this and the fact that other media outlets made a video about this definitely reopened the narrative about whether or not Andrew Luck will be coming back to the NFL. In addition to that, the Indianapolis Colts seem to be attempting to get themselves a new quarterback one way or another. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. And before we get to the content, do me a favor and sack that like button for the YouTube algorithm. This is our second video today. And by liking the video, you push out my content to a broader NFL audience that will also sack the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you want an opportunity to get your takes featured on the content, then make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, the Indianapolis Colts are scrambling, doing whatever it takes to get their hands on a brand new quarterback. And while the more likely way that they're going to be getting a quarterback is through trade, we also have a pretty game-breaking update in regards to Andrew Luck and the probability that he will return from Jimmy with the Colts himself. Now, when Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, was asked about the probability that Andrew Luck would return to the Indianapolis Colts, he had this to say. He's more retired now than he was a year and a half ago. He definitely is retired, and there's really no wiggle room or rumor or anything, as much as people would like to hear that. Believe me, I wish it was true, and I was hiding some big announcement, but that's just not the case. Honestly, the purpose of the previous video was more to reopen the conversation to potentially lure Andrew Luck back into the NFL. The fact that it's circulating in news headlines in of itself would cause Andrew to kind of think about it. The logic that I presented in our previous video on Andrew was pretty much the fact that it was to his benefit to sit out a year or two, because in those 2 years, the Indianapolis Colts were able to get wide receiver help in the form of Michael Pittman Jr., running back help in the form of Jonathan Taylor, and completely revamp their offensive line behind the likes of Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson. Their defense is looking as stout as ever, featuring the likes of Darius Leonard, with remarkable pass rushing and DeForest Buckner. So if there was a time for Andrew Luck to consider coming back out of retirement, this would be it. And if he doesn't come out of retirement to play for the Indianapolis Colts again within the next year or so, then I would officially close the book on Andrew Luck ever returning to the NFL again, because there's never going to be another team that is this loaded and this primed for contention more than the Indianapolis Colts over the next 2 to 3 years. They are legitimately a good quarterback away from actually being able to contend in the Super Bowl, and prior to his retirement, Andrew Luck was one of the league's brightest stars. With that being said, the Indianapolis Colts appear to be looking towards another direction in order to fill their void at the quarterback position. Now, the number one quarterback that the Indianapolis Colts will be forever linked to until he's finally traded is Carson Wentz, and this is assuming that Andrew Luck doesn't come back. Mainly because Carson Wentz has ties to the Indianapolis Colts from his days with Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator. When these two were together, Carson Wentz was playing like a MVP. And well, more recently, over the past year, the Philadelphia Eagles have been making some interesting decisions in regards to their quarterbacks, starting with the drafting of Jalen Hurts last NFL draft. Now, I know what you guys might be thinking. Originally, Jalen Hurts was drafted as an insurance policy in the event that Carson Wentz went down. But when you spend a second-round pick on a quarterback, despite having committed a maximum contract to your franchise QB that you traded a huge sum of draft picks for to move up to the number 2 overall spot in order to select him, it does send a weird type of message. So here's what's even stranger about all of this. The fact that the Philadelphia Eagles essentially had to make a decision, Doug Peterson or Carson Wentz. And they obviously chose Carson Wentz. Just because he had one bad year doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be horrible for the future. And I truly believe that as a Cowboys fan. Carson Wentz is going to return to form within a year or two. You don't magically just fall off of the face of the earth as a NFL quarterback. And if you look at the pieces around him, his best wide receiver this year was Travis Fulgham. Miles Sanders was a remarkable offensive piece as well. His offensive line was incredibly inconsistent, and the man just needed more weapons and wasn't able to play his brand of football because he didn't really have great playmakers. I honestly didn't think there needed to be a huge mess about the situation, but the fact that Carson Wentz was performing poorly and the fact that the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts essentially put Jalen Hurts in a situation where he could come in, play quarterback, and since there wasn't a lot of tape on Jalen Hurts, well, he looked pretty good while playing quarterback for the Eagles. That being said, Carson Wentz still wants to be traded from the Philadelphia Eagles, and if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I would do my best to trade Carson Wentz. Not because he's not good enough, because I still think he's a remarkable quarterback, but whenever you are 50-50 on two quarterbacks on your roster, say you're 50-50 on Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, then in that scenario, I would recommend trading away the most expensive quarterback and building around the quarterback that has the cheapest contract. In Jalen Hurts' scenario, he has a rookie contract for 3 more years. The Philadelphia Eagles need a ton of help, and it has nothing to do with the quarterback position. Whether it's Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz, the Philadelphia Eagles have question marks at the wide receiver position, in the offensive line, at cornerback, at linebacker. And that's before we get to the fact that their brand new head coach stuttered a bunch of times and really looked like a mess in his introductory press conference.
Next thing that's very important to me is that we build a smart football team, that we have a smart football team here. And I know we have the people in place to do that. The first part of that, the first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. All right, complicated to the defense or offense that they're going against or the special teams group they're going against, but easy for us to learn. Because when we can when we can learn our system and we can get good at our system, then our talent can take over. Less thinking equals talent take over, but we need to have systems in place, and we will have systems in place to do so.
So I'm hearing 2 different rumors, and both of these make a lot of sense to me. One is the Indianapolis Colts offered a package for Carson Wentz, and Chris Ballard full-on said that the Colts are interested in trading for Carson Wentz. It's a known thing. He also said that they are exploring a lot of options and that we shouldn't expect a trade for Carson Wentz to come anytime soon. Now, in addition, there's another rumor that as of a few hours ago, the Chicago Bears have the top offer out for Carson Wentz. And apparently they're offering a boatload of first-round picks in order to acquire Carson Wentz. This Bears report comes from some very sketchy sources, so I'm not really putting a lot of stock into this report, because bear in mind, Carson Wentz underperformed over the past year, so no team would be giving up multiple first-round picks for a player that not only has a bloated contract, but a player that's underperformed over the past couple of years. You give up multiple first-round picks for a Deshaun Watson or a player that is a bona fide home run. Not so much for a player that performed really well, but this past year got benched because he didn't perform so well. No matter what the reason is, that is what every team will be saying in a negotiation with the Philadelphia Eagles. With that being said, could you expect Carson Wentz to get traded at some point? I'd say within the next month or two, you could expect a Carson Wentz trade to either the Indianapolis Colts, the Chicago Bears, or even possibly the San Francisco 49ers if the price is low enough. Meaning, if Carson Wentz is viewed similarly to Jared Goff, then you could expect him to get traded to one of those teams. But it really depends on how much value people are going to be putting into Carson Wentz. No matter what, I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles took a huge L here. because I really think they were premature in firing Doug Peterson. And it's not to say that Doug Peterson didn't deserve to get fired, but it comes off as extremely impulsive when you fire your head coach to appease your franchise cornerstone, but then your franchise cornerstone still says, hey, I want to be traded no matter what. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this entire mess. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.